Hello in TV land. Is your boy Freelancer Joe ready to once again get cracking? Now, before I go into the normal spiel, I'm sure that many of my eagle-eyed viewers have noticed something very funny. Sunday, 10/27. I am recording this video intended for Tuesday on intended for Monday on Sunday. I'm sure as all of you are well aware because you are following all of my videos and watching them multiple times, I started a new project on Monday, but I'm not entirely sure how my schedule is going to work out, so I was a little concerned about being able to provide the necessary content. Now, it's not like I would be at the new job for the entire 24 hours of the day, so I'd have time to come back home and record something and upload something. But it's asking a lot of Freelancer Joe to actually make that kind of commitment and to have that mental energy and discipline necessary. It's going to be a struggle for me just to have potentially longer workday and to make sure that I do my training. So I've gone ahead and decided that I'm going to record all of this week's Freelancer episodes anyway, today on Sunday. And then I'm sure all of you who have watched the Sunday's episode are like, well then, if you're recording on Sunday, why did you close everything down again? Now, were I disingenuous, I would say it's because I did an update. Were I being cheekily disingenuous, I would say it's simply because I wanted, even though I'm recording this on Sunday, I wanted to give those of you watching it on Tuesday, or whenever, the full Freelancer Joe experience of watching me bring things up. But those of you who have a keen insight into the mind of Freelancer Joe know that I'm just padding. So I will continue to pad. I mean, I might try one of these episodes, with everything already started up. But then again, that's 5 episodes. That's 2.5 hours of content. So you might have to bear with me for starting everything up again. So yeah. And plus, it's going to be kind of tricky because my mind frame is I'm going to talk as if for me, I'm going to talk about like Sunday things, but I have to try and project that I'm having this conversation with you on Tuesday. So it should be a fun experiment, not the least of which is me talking for 2.5 hours. At least I'm not going to be talking straight. I mean, there's a time gap because I took a break and did other things. I played a game. I played Destiny 2. I ran it straight. But it kind of hard to, I mean, I could code continuously. Obviously, I do that all day at work, but I don't talk continuously. I'm sure I give off that impression that I just blab, blab, blab and say nothing of use. And that might be actually the case, that no matter what I say, it's nothing of use. But it's not always on, is the big thing. I rein it in. I only drop nuggets of wisdom and charm and humor. Well, that's how you get the most bang for the buck, in my opinion. If you're drowning in it, it loses its value. So we will once again start everything up, and I am going to act like it's Monday and ask you how y'all doing on Monday. I'm hoping it's fantastic and wonderful and great and all those other things. I can only project. Well, alright, yes, you had a good day, but your day is not complete because you're watching this episode. Yeah, right? Close? I think that's relatively good of me to say. Alright, so we've got my... even though I only took like an hour, it's only like a 30-minute... Was it a 30-minute break? Yeah, it was about a 30-minute break. Yes, my mind is completely shut off about what I was doing. Plus, I will also admit that starting to feel a little hungry. I'll talk more about food later. Again, I'm trying to keep all the good stuff. Gonna have to try and spread it out across all the episodes. In truth, there's always something to talk about, you know? Right? It might not be particularly interesting, but there's always something to talk about. Humans are, by nature, social creatures. Even those of us that are less social, well, those of us, such as myself, that are less social, we have the hard wiring for social things. It'll be interesting to see if it starts up quicker though, because I didn't actually shut down VirtualBox, so VirtualBox kept running. It's never too early for a LaCroix. Never, ever, ever. Okay, no, looks like it's taking just as long. Interesting. Monday. Monday for you. I wonder what my Monday's going to be like. Am I excited about the new job? To be honest, I try not to get too emotionally invested in work. I'm sure there are many successful professionals who say that's a terrible way to be about your job. Of course. And to be honest, I would like to be excited and enthusiastic about my work, but well, let's face facts. I mean, they say that one of the keys to happiness is actually, only worrying about things that are within your control. And there are so many variables at a job that are beyond your control. So really the best you can do is go in and, do your best. But that doesn't mean you have to get emotionally invested in the job. Alright, so the application came up and calendar came up and we don't have any errors, but for some reason, yes, okay, there we go. So what we had been working on was adding a indicator of some kind to that particular page to indicate that events are being loaded. And we had picked, if we look at the demos, Material UI has components that help indicate progress. And we had gone with, it's going to be weird rehashing things I've said only like an hour ago. Whereas normally, since I record these things like 24 hours apart, there's a 24-hour gap. So we had decided upon the linear progress. And it's rather unfortunate, though, that I don't have that time gap between, because I feel less awkward about repeating for my padding. Alright, so basically to use it, all we have to do is import the class. Is it? I don't think it should be considered a class. That's my Java background there. Import the component, which we did, and then basically just have it render. Which we did right here. And because the layout for this div is flex and column, the way I have it coded, it should render basically calendar, the progress bar, and then calendar. Calendar message, progress bar, and then the actual calendar component. But if we bring it up, we look at it, we see calendar, and the big calendar, the actual calendar, but we don't see the progress bar. And where we left off yesterday was I inspected this, and it turns out, let me go ahead and move over here, and hopefully I'll pay attention to cheese this time to make sure that I notice when it actually freezes. Okay, there we go. But we do have a progress bar here. However, it has a width of 0 and a height of 5. So if we go here and we say width colon 100%, boom, there's our progress bar. So the question is, why isn't it filling that up? Okay. So it fills up here for their example because they have it in a div with the flux grow. Alright. So let's basically repeat that. We will create a style for this, for a div to contain the progress bar. So we'll call it progress, progress. That's progress. That sounds like some progress. Progress. Yeah. Now, for some reason, that kind of froze. Like, is 2 S's right? Because I've been typing it wrong so far. Alright, so we'll make flux grow 1. And we're probably going to have... Gore? Wow. Gorer. Flux grow 1. Alright, and we're probably going to have to add padding too, also. But let's play around with it. There are other ways to pad the content of a video. So we'll say div break class name, thank you, equals classes dot progress, autocomplete for me, thank you. Close that. Oh, why would you do that for me like that? Gonna keep doing me wrong like that. And wrap that. Alright, and let's fix the formatting just a little bit. 1, 2, 1. And that should be good. Let's see what it looks like. I mean, if FlexGrow doesn't work too well, then I can just do just do a basic width. Monday, thinking about the future. Well, on the plus side, I'll end up working with somebody else I've worked with before. Okay. She's a good egg. So it looks like FluxGrow did not do the trick. But if I make, instead of this, let's see if I make your width, let's go with 75%. There we go. I'll probably have to add like a padding or margin. Probably padding. Red is my secondary color. Maybe I should go with secondary instead. Right? Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and I want that secondary. Color equals secondary. Color equals secondary. Boom. And we'll change the flux grow from 1 to width. And we'll make that 75%. And hopefully we should see a red bar with 75%. I mean, even I couldn't muck that up, right? Certainly hope not. Oh yeah, there we go. A little choppy in my opinion. But alright, it works. Okay, so now the next thing we need to do is basically we need to have it dynamically appear. We only want to show that progress bar when it's actually loading, right? If it's not loading, then we'll have it go away. Similarly, when it's loading, we also don't want the calendar to appear. Okay. So what we're gonna do? What's the first thing we're gonna do? All right. Well, let's trigger the bar to appear when it's loading. Loading, right? False. Okay. So that's in the state. We have a flag or attribute called loading, and that's what we're going to use to render the loading bar. So we'll create another function, a render progress bar. Render. I don't think I spelled that right. I butchered that one. Progress bar. Well, it might not always be the bar. I gave the valid my opinion as to why you would use the circular progress instead. Alright, let's copy this log message just to be consistent. And what we're going to return, okay, well that depends. So first we need to pull that out, that particular flag. Lit loading, locating. Is there a verb for locate? Loading. Equals this dot state. And so if we're loading, we're going to return that progress bar. Otherwise, we're going to return an empty div. So that's the easy one first. Return div. Right? Let's see. I like returning the format to be like this. More often, well, because it vertically tracks, it's easier once you start nesting. And what we're going to return, well, let's add the return block right there. Return, well, that's not really a block. It's saying, oh, you're not returning anything. No es bueno. And I agree. We are going to return this. So div, fix that, fix that, fix that. And now we actually have to make this, what are you complaining about? Oh, you need to be in there? Really? That means I probably should move this up top. Alright, and so we actually still need to make the call though. So instead of, oh, I already cut it out. Cut it out. Actually, what we're going to do is this dot render progress. Nice, nice. Rendering progress. I'm going to update that message so that if we have to follow through the logic, we know where it is. I'm going to click save or save it and it'll recompile. But I don't want you to be alarmed if the bar doesn't appear. I know why, but we're going to walk through it. And it's not, the why is not because I did something wrong. It's because I didn't do something. So as you can see, there's no bar here, but at least there's no error. So that's why I say I didn't do anything wrong. But let's bring up the console, web developer console. If we look at our code here, it says if loading from the state. We'll render that, otherwise we render an empty div. Okay, but let's look at the state. The state for loading says false. We never set it to true. So when do we set it to true? Okay, well, Alright, so we should set it to true whenever it actually attempts to make a call, when it does an action to actually start loading. So, in the debounce method, well, we can do it either, let's just go ahead, no, the debounce method is delayed. So we could set the loading flag to true before we even start the load. Or we could just do it in the debounce method where we actually make the call to start the load, but that debounce doesn't fire until a second. So it's much more immediate for the user to see that an action started. So it's Alright, we're going to add another function. And we're going to call it, not initiate AWS, yeah, call AWS. Not the best name. And that's going to take a key. And okay, no, we're going to call load calendar events. We're going to call load calendar events. Load calendar. Oh, that's my dryer. In addition to doing my training, I did one more load of laundry. And we're just going to pass in the date we want to use. Because the two places that we call debounce AWS, the key is the same, but the actual date is different. So these guys will create a filter this guy, load calendar events, is going to create a filter object using the calendar date value. And before I forget, let me go ahead and add a debug message there. It's not particularly complicated. I doubt I would muck it up, but it's possible I'd muck it up. So we'll create a filter object and we'll call debounce AWS. But before we make that call, should I have a space or not? Yeah. Before I make the call, which is delayed, I am going to this.set state loading to true. So that should basically cause the view to re-render with the refresh state. That render progress function method should see now that the value's changed, and then it should render the progress bar. Then we create the filter object and we make the call, the debounce call. Alright, but the only other thing to change is that this is the method that needs to be called instead of this. Alright, and you don't need to create a filter object anymore or pass in the key. You just need to pass in the date. And likewise here on the mount, but you're not using calendar date, you're using this guy. Load calendar events, and let's go ahead and add a comment. And this is a function for loading calendar events. Nifty. I mean, in theory, if you are very verbose when you name your functions and write your code. You don't really need comments, but sometimes it helps. Plus, there are libraries that will generate API documentation based on your comments. In a full-fledged project, yes, useful, worthwhile. Should be a good habit to have. But just for demo stuff, Alright, so let's see. So what I would expect to happen is, okay, because this function is going to be called on mount, that means that progress bar is going to appear like practically instantaneously. Oh, it's so quiet. So quiet. So we go, meow. I saw an error. That's not good. Classes is not defined. Classes is not. Oh. Classes is not defined. Alright. I pulled loading from state, but I referenced classes. And classes and the properties. Wow, it is quiet. I almost feel myself dipping a little. When these times, I usually like to listen to music to pick me up. But of course, since I don't want copyright strikes, I can't do that. And yeah, progress bar automatically shows up. Okay, so to kind of better show you, alright, to better show this, what we're going to do is, instead of loading calendar events on the mount, let's just comment that out for now. So when it comes up, there's not going to be any calendar events. We'll navigate to November, and then that thing should appear. That thing. Very descriptive, aren't I? Alright, so again, no events, and the progress bar did not appear, but now if we navigate, boom, there is a progress bar. Of course, after the events have loaded, the progress bar should disappear, and what I've been talking about before is that we'll just render the calendar instead. No, the progress bar when it's loading and not the calendar, and then when the events are loaded, not the progress bar, but the calendar. So that will be the next. Well, let's go ahead and put this back in before I forget. Was there something else I might forget? Possibly. There's always something. As much as there's always something to say, there's always something to forget. Let's make sure it comes back up. Calendar. Boom. Okay. But we are about at the 30-minute mark, so I will wrap this up for now. It's still Sunday for me, but Monday for you, or, whenever you've chosen to watch this. And assuming I remember to upload it Monday, that's a risk too. So cool keywords about liking and subscribing, commenting and suggesting, and I hope that you'll join me next time when we'll do what I said we'll do, the stuff. And until the next time that you join me, I hope that you take care and God bless.